All right, welcome to the explainer. You know, it's funny. Sometimes the things we're absolutely sure about, the stuff that's been written in textbooks for 100 years, well, that's where the biggest secrets are hiding. And today, we're going to talk about one of those secrets, one that's been hiding deep inside your own head this whole time.
So, let me ask you something. Just a quick question. Right now, inside your head, how many layers of protection are wrapped around your brain? Come on, think back to biology class. You got a number?
Yeah, for more than a century, science, medicine, pretty much every textbook on the planet had the exact same answer. 3. It was just a fact, a foundational piece of human anatomy.
And you probably remember them, right? The classic trio. You've got the super tough outer layer, the Dura Mater. Then there's the spiderweb-like one, the Arachnoid Mater. And finally, the really delicate Pia Mater that just kind of hugs the surface of the brain. Simple, tidy, and everybody just accepted it.
But what if? What if after all that time, after thousands upon thousands of dissections and brain surgeries, what if the textbooks were just wrong, or at least incomplete? What if everyone, for 100 years, was missing something huge?
Because, well, that's exactly what happened. In what is a truly groundbreaking discovery, scientists have found a whole new structure, a fourth layer, and it pretty much changes everything we thought we knew. Okay, so get ready to meet SLYM. That's SLYM, and it stands for Subarachnoid Lymphatic-like Membrane. Now, this isn't some old theory somebody dug up. This is brand new stuff, officially described for the very first time in the journal Science in 2023. And they call it lymphatic-like because it acts like it's part of the brain's own personal cleanup crew, kind of like the lymphatic system that cleans up waste in the rest of your body.
So you can see this is a huge deal. It's not just about adding a new word to the biology books. This actually forces us to completely remap our understanding of the brain's anatomy. So let's take a look at the old way of thinking versus this new reality.
I mean, at its core, it's this simple and this profound. We went from 3 layers to 4. But where this new layer fits and what it does, now that's the really cool part. Okay, so in the old model, you had the dural on top and the pia on the bottom. And in between was this thing called the subarachnoid space. Everyone just pictured it as one big, open, fluid-filled swimming pool where everything just kind of sloshed around together. But check this out. The new view completely shatters that idea. It turns out that one big space isn't one big space at all. The slime layer cuts right through the middle of it, like a super thin, almost invisible wall.
And this introduces a really important idea called compartmentalization. Slime basically splits that swimming pool into 2 distinct sections. You've got an outer, superficial compartment and an inner, deep one. And let me tell you, that deep compartment, that is absolute VIP territory. That's where all the major blood vessels that keep your brain alive are hanging out. So right away, you can tell SLYM isn't just some boring wall. No way. It's an incredibly active gatekeeper. The best way to think about it is like a microscopic bouncer for the brain's most exclusive club. And it has 3 critical jobs to do. Okay, job number 1, it's a molecular filter. Job 2, it's an immune shield. And job 3, it provides some seriously important lubrication. Let's break down what each of those really means.
All right, first up, its job as that molecular bouncer. SLYM is super picky about what it lets through. It's like it has a size limit at the door. It physically blocks any molecule that's bigger than 3 kilodaltons. That's incredibly small, but it's a hard and fast roll. So it basically takes one look at these bigger proteins and other stuff floating around in that outer space and just says, nope, sorry, you're not on the list. And what this does is make sure that the fluid in that deep VIP section, the stuff that's bathing the brain and its blood vessels, stays pristine, exceptionally clean. Okay, next up, the immune shield. So get this, your skull's bone marrow is constantly churning out these really powerful immune cells. And yeah, they're great for fighting off infections, but the absolute last thing you want is for these guys to just be wandering around your central nervous system, stirring up trouble and causing inflammation. And that's where SLYM steps in. It acts like a physical wall, trapping those immune cells and keeping them contained in that outer compartment. It keeps them away from the sensitive inner sanctum unless there's a real emergency, like a fire alarm that gives them a special pass to get through. And finally, there's the lubrication. That super smooth surface lets your brain move around a little bit with every heartbeat and every breath without any friction.
But here's the real kicker. This smooth surface is also absolutely essential for the glymphatic system. That's the brain's amazing waste disposal system that kicks into high gear while you sleep, flushing out all the garbage, including toxic stuff like beta amyloid.
So let's recap. A molecular filter, an immune shield, and a supervisor for the waste disposal crew. That is a ton of responsibility for a tiny membrane that's maybe only 1 or 2 cells thick. Which leads us to the biggest question of all. Why should you care? What happens when this tiny, crucial barrier breaks down?
Well, the health implications are just massive. Let's run through this. For a traumatic brain injury, if slime ruptures, all that dirty fluid and those inflammatory cells suddenly flood into the VIP section, making the damage way, way worse. In something like meningitis, a tear in the slime could be the single thing that lets an infection go from being contained to spreading like wildfire across the brain. And for Alzheimer's, researchers are now thinking that as we age, if slime starts to break down, it could cripple the brain's ability to clear out those toxic amyloid proteins. It even changes how we think about medicine. Doctors now have to figure out how to get drugs past this newly discovered barrier to treat the brain.
So the takeaway here is really simple, but it's so important. The health of this tiny, brand new layer isn't just some cool fact for a textbook. It is absolutely critical for protecting your brain from injury, from infection, and from devastating diseases.
And that just leaves us with this one kind of mind-blowing thought. If an entire anatomical structure, a whole new layer of protection for the most important organ in our body, could stay hidden in plain sight until the year 2023, what other incredible secrets is our own body still keeping from us?